another episode of Talk Your Spit TV. I'm your host, Mario Harris, and the NFL season is officially here, and week one did not disappoint at all, man. NFL really chose balance with week one with some of the teams that was playing, man. They did not care. They wanted to start off rivalry week week one. So let's get into it, man. Cowboys at Eagles, man. Thursday night football starts week one of the NFL 2025 season. Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, start defending their title against division rival Dallas Cowboys. And it was a very, very exciting game from start to finish. But what would a Cowboys and Eagles game be without a little bit of controversy? You know what I mean? And this actually comes before the very first play of the game at during kickoff. Um, Defensive tackle Jalen Carter, him and Dak Prescott get into it instantly, and Jalen Carter decides to spit on him. And when you spit on a player, you get thrown out. And as soon as he got thrown out the game, everybody already knew the game would change dramatically for the Eagles. And Dallas didn't waste any time showing that, hey, y'all ain't got Carter. Y'all gonna miss Carter. Cowboys start the game with the ball and they go 6 plays for 53 yards and add a few rushing plays. Then Dak connecting with wide receiver one CD Lamb for a 32-yard reception. Then they cap the possession off with a 1 yard Javonte Williams run touchdown. Now the Eagles have the ball, and you already know what the Eagles will do. They will move them chains. They go 10 plays, 70 yards. Saquon being Saquon, he breaks out a 16-yard run. Then Will Shipley goes for a 20-yard run. And then Jalen Hurts scrambles for a 4-yard run to get to score the touchdown, and the game is tied 7-7. You know, the Eagles, they will run that ball if they have to. And that was the main objective in this game. It was running the balls. And we go into the second quarter, and Cowboys now they have the ball back. And once again, Dak is looking to CD for an 18-yard reception. Then another pass goes to Lamb that turns into a 26-yard reception. And then another Williams run turns into another Williams touchdown for 11 yards for a touchdown for the Cowboys, back up 7. Next possession for the Eagles, Devontae Smith makes a catch. Then Saquon gets a few rushing plays here and there. Hurt scrambles and makes some more completed passes, and the Eagles are driving the ball down the field. Like I said, they will move them chains. The Eagles, they have the offensive power to move them chains all game long. Then Jalen Hurts, he runs it in for an 8-yard touchdown to tie the game at 14. Philly gets the ball back now. They have it late in the second quarter with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left. They once again will move those chains with Jalen Hurts throwing a bomb to Jahan Dotson, who goes 10 yards after the catch for a 51-yard reception. And then Saquon runs for 10 yards for a touchdown. 21-20, Philly is up at halftime. Philly has the ball to start the half, but they end the possession and end it with a field goal to go up by 4. Cowboys takes possession, looking to try to take the lead, and Sanders runs for a big yard and go for 49 yards, and he is feeling confident. Few plays later, Sanders gets the ball back on Philly 11-yard line looking to score, but he fumbles, and it is recovered by the Eagles. That changed the whole momentum of the game right there for the Cowboys, if you ask me. But also they had bad weather delays that delayed the game for about 60 minutes or so, and that also changed the momentum of the game. But once the game resumed, neither team will score again, and Philly takes the win 24-20. Hurts go 19 for 23 for 152 yards. He rushed 14 times, 62 yards for those, and 2 touchdowns. Saquon rushed for 60 yards and 18 carries and 1 touchdown. That goes 21 for 34, 188 yards. Javonte Williams, 15 carries, 54 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And CD, he has 7 catches for 110 yards. The Cowboys takeaway, man, the first half, they looked real, real great, man. They were a different team than last season. You know, Dak, he got hurt within, 8 games of last season, hurt his hamstring. But he was rolling out the pocket and moving like his hamstring was never been hurt. And he was also making accurate passes, too. While on the run, also, if I want to say that too, he's making accurate passes while on the run. So his hamstring looked very healed, and it looked really better in this game. Also, Cowboys seemingly have two backs right now, two running backs to make their offense more balanced. But that's just more to be seen as the season go on. Like I said, the Eagles didn't have Jalen Carter, so that made a huge difference for their defensive line to stop that running attack. But we'll see if the Cowboys running attack is really legit. If it's legit, then that offense will be very balanced, man. I'm ready to see how that's gonna look. Now the defense, after trading away Michael Parsons, really felt his absence early on in the game. As they only recorded one sack throughout the whole game and couldn't stop the run from Jalen Hurts nor from Saquon Barkley. In total, they gave up 145 yards rushing with three rushing touchdowns in the first half. But the second half, man, they turned it up. The defense found some life. They cleaned up their mistakes, only giving up 3 points in the second half. However, the offense could not score in at all in the second half either. So that made a huge difference for the Cowboys. However, what stood out to me, the biggest thing, like I said, the Miles Sanders fumble was a huge momentum shift. But while they were driving the ball too, so that was a huge momentum shift, him fumbling. But also, man, that 65-minute weather delay killed the Cowboys, man. I think they had a lot of momentum, and I think they was moving very good. But once you be out for 60 minutes, then you have to take, I think it's a 12-minute warm-up session. Man, that takes a lot on the body after being out there for one half, and you was already getting it going. But ultimately, man, the Cowboys still had a chance to score. The offense was still moving pretty good. However, CeeDee Lamb, he dropped catches that should have been caught. There was some real catchable balls that he dropped, and they could have got them great yardage, and that cost them the game. If you ask me, man, I think he dropped four in all, and three of them came in late in the second half. So those were really big time plays that could have been made by a big time player who gets paid big time money to make those big time plays. Next, Cowboys will play their home opener against another divisional game against the Giants next week in week 2. Now the Eagles takeaway, man. The Eagles did a great job of running the ball. However, I felt like Hurst should have took advantage of the single coverage that was given to him. Speaking on Smith and AJ Brown, between the two, they only had three receptions for 16 yards. Excuse me, Smith had three receptions for 16 yards. AJ Brown had one reception for only 8 yards. So I feel like, man, the Cowboys was in single coverage a lot. You gotta take advantage of those, man. I mean, they still end up scoring on a lot of possessions, but in the second half, they didn't score enough point where they scored 3 points in the second half of a field goal. So you gotta take advantage on that. I get it; they were up. They probably didn't want to be too aggressive this early in the season, the first game of the season. I kind of understand that. But me personally, man, you got single coverage on Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, man. I'm letting them work. I'm gonna let them work, man. But besides that, Saquon, he was a huge reason for him and Hurst was a huge reason why they didn't throw the ball. Saquon, he ran for 2,000 yards last season, and when Saquon runs like that, it makes the Eagles offense hard to beat, makes the Eagles offense hard to stop. And he can. It's the Eagles are already a tough team before Saquon came, but Saquon just made them even more even more tough. And their ability to pass the ball was what stood out for me in the past before Saquon. But like I said, Saquon got there. Now they don't have to rely on pass, and then Hurts was scrambling a lot too. So I mean, maybe it's a testament to their offensive line when it comes to pass blocking. The reason why Hurts didn't target Smith and Brown too much. Maybe I'm not sure about that. But they also had 9 penalties that cost them 110 yards. And that's something they might want to look at going forward in the season, man. They need to clean up those penalties, man. Those are mental mistakes that can cost you the game. And like I said, it probably would have cost them the game if CD catch them passing. So who knows, man? But they got lucked out. They in the red zone, they was 3 for 3 in the red zone in that category. So that's good right there. And once again, Eagles are dangerous with that tush push. They're dangerous with Saquon. So in that red zone, they get close enough, they might score. However, they got claimed that penalty because next week they go up against Kansas City at Kansas City for a Super Bowl rematch. So it's gonna be an exciting game. And if they give up 9 penalties for 110 yards, I can't see Kansas City losing that game. But we'll see. Speaking of Kansas City, next we have the Chiefs versus the Chargers from Brazil. This AFC West Division showdown in Brazil, and this was another great and exciting game from two teams. One of the teams, like I said, Chiefs went to the Super Bowl last year, but the Chargers got something to prove. So there's two teams that's looking to make the playoff for sure. Chiefs starts the game with the ball and go 3-and-out. Now the Chargers get the ball and waste no time, showing how explosive their offense is. Quarterback Justin Herbert throws a short pass to Quentin Johnston that turns into a 33-yard reception. Then Herbert to young star Ladd McConkey for a 9-yard gain. Running back Amari Hampton run for 8 yards. Then the Chargers capped off possession with Johnston catching a 5-yard touchdown reception to the score going in. Now the score is 7-0. We move to the second quarter. The score is still 7-0, and the Chargers have the ball again. Hampton, he rushes and gains 11 yards from that rush for the first down. Then Herbert finds veteran receiver Keenan Allen for a 13-yard pass. Then a 17-yard pass to Tyler Conklin. After a couple penalties on the Chargers, it's the third down. It's 3rd and 25, and Herbert then connects with Allen again for a 9-yard, and the Chargers kick a field goal to make the score 10-0. Chiefs start to drive the football down the field, and now they are on the Chargers 36-yard line. And on first down, Mahomes connects with Juju Smith-Schuster for a short pass that ends up to be 16-yard gain. Then Isaiah Pacheco runs for a 10-yard gain. 3rd and goal, and Mahomes looking for receivers. He gets sacked for a loss of 8 yards. Then that makes the Chiefs settle for a field goal. The score is now 10-3 Chargers. Next possession for the Chargers, Herbert goes deep. A deep pass to McConkey for a 23-yard gain that puts them in scoring position right at the 2-minute mark in the half. They end up kicking a field goal. Next possession for the Chiefs right before halftime, Mahomes scrambles out the pocket, finds Tyquan Thornton for a 39-yard reception. Chiefs are in the red zone, but they have to end up kicking a field goal before the half ends. The score is 13-6 Chargers at halftime. Chargers go 3-and-out to start the half now, and Chiefs have the ball. The second half, you already know how Pat Mahomes is. He's ready to turn up and get things going. He starts the drive with an 11-yard scramble, then a 14-yard pass to Juju. A few plays later, on 3rd and 2, Mahomes throws a pass to Hollywood Brown for a 13-yard reception. Once again, Mahomes scrambled for a 15-yard for another first down. Chiefs goes 11 plays, 80 yards to end the possession as Mahomes scrambled for an 11-yard to get the TD. However, Chiefs missed the extra point to tie the game, and that brings the score 13-12. Now, Chargers have to get something going before Chiefs magic becomes unstoppable. And sure enough, Chiefs linebacker Drew Tranquill gets a sack on Herbert for a loss of 8. Then Herbert gets going with a short pass to Johnston that turns into a 14-yard. After the penalty, it's 1st and 15. Herbert scrambles for a 7-yard. Then it's 2nd and 8. Herbert passes short to Allen, who gets 10 more yards to make it a 15-yard reception. Then Herbert deep pass to McConkey for a 16-yard reception. A few running plays later, then Herbert connects with Allen for an 11-yard touchdown reception as they go 12 plays, 74 yards to stretch the lead 20-12. Chiefs take the ball, and it's the fourth quarter. It's 3rd and 5. Mahomes shows off his magic and flips the ball to Juju that ends up being a 12-yard reception for a first down. Mahomes then passes to his favorite target, Travis Kelce, who was open, and scores a 37-yard touchdown. Chiefs down 2, and they go for 2 again, but do not convert for its 20-18 Chargers now. Chargers have the ball, 2nd and 3. Herbert to Allen for the first down for a 4-yard reception. Few plays later, on 3rd and 7, Herbert back to Allen for another first down. A couple run plays that sets up a 1st and 10 on the KC 23, and Herbert runs out of the pocket and throws a dart to Johnston for a 15-yard touchdown pass. Chiefs have the ball down 9 with 4 minutes left to go in the game, and Mahomes is sacked for a 1-yard loss. No panic from Mahomes, though, as the very next play he finds Brown for an 11-yard reception and a first down. Few plays later, it is 4th and 7, and Mahomes still has some magic as he throws a 49-yard pass while on the run to Hollywood Brown to put the Chiefs in scoring position. However, that would be the end of all that as Mahomes and the Chiefs failed to capitalize on a touchdown and they have to settle for a field goal. The score is 27-21 Chargers. But that would end up being the final score, and the Chiefs defense could not stop the Chargers from driving downfield and run out the clock as Herbert makes a slide to stay in bounds to run down the clock. The Chargers get a huge divisional win that technically counts as a home win, even though they're playing in Brazil. The Chargers takeaway, man, this win ends a 7-year losing streak versus the Chiefs with the Chargers. And like I said, technically, this is a home game for the Chargers, even though they're playing in Brazil. But this marks the first time the Chargers beat the Chiefs at home since 2013. Now, Justin Herbert was amazing and efficient as he was 22 for 34 for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns. Herbert connects on 8 different targets with Quentin Johnston. He had 5 receptions for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Larry McConkey, 6 receptions for 74 yards. And Keenan Allen, the veteran receiver, 7 receptions for 88 yards and 1 touchdown. Allen and McConkey has established themselves as valuable targets for Herbert. However, the emergence of Johnson makes this receiving core even hard to stop. As Najee Harris starts to get his legs back because he missed a whole training camp and all the preseason trying to rehab an eye injury, I suspect the Chargers offense to be even more high-powered and versatile. Chargers defense stepped up tremendously, not allowing the Chiefs to ever take the lead and getting timely stops. Defensive tackle Tierra Tart, he open hand slapped Travis Kelce in the third quarter, and he did not get ejected, but did result into a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty. Then in the fourth, Chief tried to go for a 2-point conversion, and Tart was the one to deflect the ball to stop that conversion. If Tart would have got ejected, Chief probably would have converted on that 2-point conversion. The next game for the Chargers is at Las Vegas in week 2. Now the Chiefs takeaway, they lose Xavier Worthy early in the first as he collides with Kelce that resulted in a dislocated shoulder for Worthy, and he did not return. Chiefs already don't have Rashee Rice due to a suspension, and losing Worthy put an even more hole into their offense. Mahomes, he went 24 for 39 for 268 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had 8 rushes and 57 yards and 1 touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 10 receptions on 99 yards. Juju, 5 receptions on 55 yards. And Kelce had 2 receptions on 47 yards and a touchdown. Chiefs' first half was a struggle as Andy Reid, he called it lifeless. They ended the first half with 3 points and only 33 yards. But that second half, the Chiefs' magic showed up as they had 18 points for 314 yards, but their defense was non-existent for the most part. The defense gave up 22 first down, and the Chargers went 7 for 13 on third down. Although Mahomes was only sacked twice, he had to make a lot of plays through scrambling, and that also disrupted their offense. Chiefs must fix their O-line pass blocking to allow Mahomes to flourish and to help find his targets. Now, the defense have to get stops as they have a big game next week against the Super Bowl champions and a Super Bowl rematch, the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Chiefs defense cannot stop the Eagles offense, it's going to be another blowout like we've seen in the Super Bowl. Next game, we got the Steelers at Jets. Now, I'm not sure if there's ever been a time where 2 teams swap quarterbacks without trading and they have to play each other on the first week of the game. However, it's the first time for everything. Last season, the Jets, they had Aaron Rodgers starting at QB. Now he's starting QB for the Steelers. Last season, the Steelers had Justin Fields starting at QB, and now he's starting for the Jets. And both QBs come in having something to prove. Jets starts off with the ball, and running back Breece Hall starts the game off with the 18-yard run. Then a few plays later on 3rd and 1, Fields scrambled for a 5-yard run to get the first down. Next play, Fields connects with Garrett Wilson for an 8-yard reception. Jets get in the red zone territory, 3rd and 11, and cannot get the first down, so they have to settle for a 36-yard field goal. As the Jets score first, it is 3-0. Steelers take over, and it's 3rd and 10, and Rodgers short pass to tight end Pat Fairmont, who runs for an extra 5 yards to get the first down. On another 3rd and 10, Rodgers this time connects with DK Metcalf on a short pass, who takes it for another 20 yards for a 23-yard gain. 2nd and 4, Kenneth Gainwell straight out of Memphis with it, takes the run for a 6-yard gain to get the first down. Then Rodgers finds Ben Skowronek for a 23-yard touchdown pass as the Steelers take the lead 7-3. Now just have it. It is 2nd and 8, and Fields finds wide receiver 1 Wilson for the 8-yard reception to get the first down. Then why should Fields stop throwing to Wilson when he can do this and get the touchdown? It took just only 6 plays to get 55 yards to score, but they missed the extra point, but they do take the lead. The score is 9-7. Moving on to the second quarter, Rodgers finds DK again on a short pass, and DK takes it 34 yards for the first down. However, Steelers have to settle for a field goal, but Chris Boswell kicks a 56-yard field goal to give the Steelers the 10-9 lead. Jets have the ball, and they are moving the chains. 1st and 10, Fields check down pass to Hall, and he runs for a 33-yard gain. Now it's 2nd and 8, Fields fakes the handoff and scrambles for a 15-yard to get the first down. 1st and goal, handoff to Braylon Allen, and he scored for an 8-yard touchdown run. Score is 16-10 Jets. Steelers go 3 and out, then the Jets kick a field goal to bring the lead to 19-10. Steelers have the ball with a little less than 3 minutes in the half, and on 2nd down, Rodgers finds an open ex-Memphis Tiger player, Calvin Austin, for a 30-yard reception. Then a few plays later, on 2nd and 10, Rodgers again connects with Austin, who makes a great catch to stay in bounds and make it a 1st and goal. Then Rodgers flips the pass to Juno Smith for a touchdown. 19-7, Jets are up at the half. After both teams end up punting, we are midway in the third. Jets have the ball, 3rd and 5, and Fields finds Ruckert up the middle for a 12-yard reception and a first down. Then a few plays later, Fields scrambles to find someone, and he finds no other than Garrett Wilson for a short pass that turns into a 21-yard reception. Then Fields said, "Let me just do it myself," and quarterback sneaks up the middle for a 2-yard touchdown run. The score is 26-17. Jets are up going into the 4th. 2nd and 7, Rodgers finds DK, who runs it for an extra 14 yards after the catch to get an 18-yard reception. Few plays later, and it's 1st and goal for the Steelers to start the 4th, and Rodgers fakes the handoff to Warren, but ends up throwing it to Warren anyway for a 5-yard touchdown pass as the Steelers bring it within 2 for a 26-24 score. On the kickoff, Jets tried to run it out, but end up fumbling, and the Steelers recovered. Already in the red zone, 2nd and 6, and Rodgers finds a wide open Austin for an 18-yard touchdown pass to regain the lead, 31-26. 1st and 10 for the Jets. Hall gets the handoff and a 12-yard run for another first down. 2nd and 14. Now the Fields throws a strike to Josh Reynolds for a 13-yard reception. After the Jets get the first down, Fields throws a pass to Mason Taylor for a 20-yard reception. Jets get it in red zone territory, and it's 3rd and goal on the 10, and Fields takes it himself, but it's stopped 1 yard short of the touchdown. And yes, they will go for it on 4th down as Fields fakes the handoff, and he fooled everyone, including me and the cameraman, to run it in to get a touchdown. However, they elect to go for 2, and I have no idea why they will run that type of play, that type of passing route. If they do not convert, the score is 32-31. 2 minutes left to go in the game, and neither team has scored again, but it's Steelers ball. 1st and 10, Rodgers finds Fairmont for a 10-yard reception, first down. Then Rodgers throws another pass to DK as it hits another Steelers receiver and somehow ends up back in the hands of DK for another first down. It's just exactly how they drew it up, too. Few plays later, and it's 4th and 11 with 1 minute to go in the game, and Steelers' Chris Boswell is back up for another field goal and another big kick. This time it's for 60 yards. And he nails it straight through the uprights to win the game 34-32. Just tried to move the ball down the field, but the Steelers defense came up big with Jalen Ramsey making a big hit to Wilson to end the game. Steelers takeaway, man. Rodgers, he go 22 for 30 for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. DK, 4 receptions for 89 yards, and Calvin Austin, 4 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Rodgers proved me and everybody else that, man, he is still elite. He proved us wrong big time because, like I said, me and a lot of other people, we thought he should have retired at the last season. But Rodgers wanted to come in and prove everybody that he still got it. He had a 73% completion rate with 4 touchdowns, and he threw to 7 different targets with 5 of those catches going for more than 20 yards. Although they were 4 and 10 on third down with no fourth down attempts, Boswell's powerful leg proved that he can kick it from deep, a 56-yard and a 60-yard kick that allowed them to win the game. As the season goes on, the Steelers will need to find a rushing attack that they only had a total of 53 rush yards. And then the O-line needs to be better as Rodgers was sacked 4 times. The Steelers defense were being outplayed for the most part. They gave up 182 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns, and Fields was able to make a lot of passes up the middle, and receivers were able to gain yards after the catch, which is very concerning since the Steelers upgraded their defense in the offseason. Now, the Steelers will travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks in week 2. Jets takeaway, man. Fields went 16 for 22 for 218 yards with 1 touchdown and rushed 12 times for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 19 carries for 107 yards. Garrett Wilson, 7 receptions, 95 yards, and 1 touchdown. The Jets played as good as they possibly could have hoped for.
Future Hall of Famers on that side of the ball, and we put up 32. And there were still plays that were left out there. So, like I said, all we got to do is keep building, keep getting better, and we'll be good.
They had more first down. They converted more on third and fourth down. They had more total yards, and they had the ball almost 10 minutes more than the Steelers did. However, they also had more penalties. They had 7 in total for 74 yards. Then they gave up a fumble on special teams that put the Steelers in scoring position that they end up scoring in, or scoring a touchdown, and not just scoring, they scored a touchdown off that fumble. Defense was solid for the most part, but giving up that fumble that close to the opponent's red zone after the defense just got off the field really hurt. Not to mention the defense gave up a touchdown right before that fumble too. New head coach Aaron Glenn definitely showed some new life in his offensive scheme with Fields and Hall. However, missing out on those 2-point conversions also hurt them. Had they settled for a field goal, they would have won by 1 instead of losing by 1. But I think I also would have went for those 2-point conversions too, depending on that situation that they were in right there. I feel like going for 2 was the right call. However, on one of those 2-point conversions, Field threw it to Wilson on the flag route, and he already had 2 defenders on him, but he went the same way as one of his other wide receivers, so it allowed another defender to come on him, and it would have been very, very. If Wilson would have caught that ball, that would have been tough. Let's just say that. The Jets will now have to travel to face a tough Bill team in week 2. The next game I got is Lions at Packers. This is another divisional round rival week 1 matchup, and this one was very one-sided. The Packers, they just acquired Michael Parsons via trade a week and a half before this game, and I'm sure that shook up everything for the Detroit offense, especially now that they don't have Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator, which I figured would hurt them anyway. But let's not also to add, they don't have Aaron Glenn as their defensive coordinator, which I figured that would hurt them anyway. Those changes were on full display in week 1. Packers start off with the ball, 2nd and 9, and Jordan Love first pass is completed to Romeo Doubs for a 20-yard reception. A few plays later, and Love now connects with Dontavion Wicks for a 16-yard reception and another first down. Now it's 3rd and 6, and Love fakes out the defender with a pump fake and he then finds Matthew Golden for 11 yards for another first down. Then to cap off the drive, Love throws a 15-yard touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft as the Packers goes 12 plays, 83 yards to score first. The score is 7-0. Then Lions go 3 and out on their first possession. Packers have the ball back and it's 3rd and 7. Lions looking for a stop, but Love throws in too deep to Jay Reed for a 26-yard pass and for a first down. Only real ones will get that reference right there. Packers get in red zone. They cannot score a touchdown, so they settle for a field goal. The score is 10-0. Lions, after having 2 penalties, have the ball 1st and 15 and hands off to Jahmyr Gill as he evades defenders and makes a 14-yard run. Few plays later, 2nd and 12, Jared Goff play action pass finds his all-pro receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for a 19-yard reception. Then on a 3rd and 5, Goff finds St. Brown again for an 8-yard reception and another first down. However, Detroit, they also couldn't score, and while they were in the red zone and they have to kick a field goal, the score is 10-3 now. Next possession was quick as they go 2 plays for 65 yards. Love throws a bomb to Dobbs for a 48-yard first down reception. Then Love finds Jay Reed for a 17-yard touchdown pass as the score now is 17-3. Lions have the ball now and they are moving the chain down the field. They converted on a couple of 3rd downs and a 4th down to put them in red zone. Now it's 3rd and 7, and Goff tried to throw a quick pass to St. Brown. However, safety Evan Williams reads it and picks it off. Packers get the interception and the first turnover of the game for the Lions. Packers end up going 3 and out after that interception. Lions have the ball again in the second quarter, and it's 2nd and 5. Goff finds a wide open Sam Laporta and gets 13 yards after the catch for a 32-yard reception. A few plays later, in his 3rd and 5, Goff connects again to Laporta for another first down, and this time it's for 16 yards. However, Lions cannot get a touchdown as they have to settle for another field goal. The score is 17-6 Lions. On to the fourth quarter, Packers have the ball, 2nd and 8. Josh Jacobs gets the handoff, and he runs it for a 15-yard first down. Packers are at the goal line for 2nd and goal, and Jacobs gets another handoff, and now he scores the touchdown. The score is 24-6 Packers. Next few possessions, Lions don't convert on the 4th down. Then the Packers, they have to kick a field goal to make the score 27-6 with less than 5 minutes to go in the game. Lions with the ball, 2nd and 10. Goff runs out of the pocket, but ends up getting sacked by no other than Micah Parsons for his first sack in a Packers uniform. Now, at this point, the game is basically over now, but it's 4th and 3, and the Lions still trying to score. There's only 1 minute left in the game. Goff finds Isaac Tesla, who makes a nice one-handed grab for the touchdown. But like I said, the game is basically over. It's a little bit too late as the Packers get the dub 27-13. Packers takeaway, man. Jordan Love, he threw for 18 for 22, 188 yards with 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries for 66 yards and 1 touchdown. Jaden Reed, 3 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. Romeo Dobbs, 2 receptions for 68 yards. And Tucker Kraft, 2 receptions and a touchdown. Packers on both sides of the ball were very dominant. They led 17-3 at halftime, and they never let up. Defense recorded 4 sacks and an interception. They also held Detroit to only 46 rushing yards total, which is tough because Detroit has 2 premier backs in Gibbs and Montgomery. In fact, Packers were so dominant that they had 18 less plays and had the ball 10 minutes less than Detroit. If Packers can be that efficient in every game, they will be hard to beat. But they have a quick turnaround game as they will play the Commanders for a home opener on Thursday for Thursday Night Football in Week 2. The Lions takeaway, the Lions, however, could not get anything consistent going to help them out this game. Goff, he was 31 for 39, 225 yards for 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Their 2-star running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs, combined for 20 carries, 44 yards, no touchdown. St. Brown, 4 receptions, 45 yards. Laporta 6 receptions, 79 yards, and Williams 4 receptions for 23 yards. It's worth to note that moving the ball for the Lions was very solid. They did get down the field a few times. They made it in the red zone 4 times, but only managed to score 1 touchdown. Then on defense, they recorded no sacks, which they were in the low bottom half of the sacks total last season. However, they did get Aiden Hutchinson back, but he still not couldn't make a significant impact or put any pressure on Love. Their secondary was non-existent as they allowed Packers receivers to be wide open. And in fact, Love connected on 10 different receivers, 8 of which he connected in the first half. Excuse me, he connected on 8 of those in the first quarter. Excuse me. That's crazy. The team Lions, they also had 7 penalties for 40 yards. Lions must capitalize on those red zone opportunities. That would have been a very helpful in the game as they only lost by 14, but they failed to convert in the red zone 3 different times. They would have made their score a lot closer if they would have scored those touchdowns. Though their next game, as they have a home opener against no other than division rival Chicago Bears for week 2. Next game I have, man, is the Ravens at Bills. Like I said, this NFL week 1, the NFL really chose violence. I don't know why they did all these rivalry games for week 1. Well, I know why they wanted them views, but they really chose violence early in week 1. This Sunday night football game for Bills versus Ravens, it was exactly what everyone expected. The combined score was for 81 points. It was just so much going on. I'm not going to even go play by play, touchdown by touchdown breaking down. Let's just talk about it, man. Lamar Jackson, man, I don't even know if I've ever seen Lamar be so conservative and so chill, but he had a good reason for that because Derrick Henry was on one. Derrick Henry had 18 carry for 169 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. Watching Henry play, man, is very bittersweet. Since I am a Titans fan, I can remember him doing those type of yards, type of play, type of game when he was in a Titan uniform. But honestly, I can never hate Derrick Henry. I can always root for my boy. So seeing him play like that, I'm not surprised. To me, I personally think he's the best running back in the league. I can understand if people want to think it's Saquon. I'm not gonna argue with that, but Derrick Henry is definitely top 2 in the league next to Saquon Barkley. This game was give the ball to Derrick Henry and watch him work. He stiffened the arm and everybody like he usually does. Then he had 2 big runs, one for 49 yards and the other for 46 yards that end up being a touchdown on that run. Lamar also didn't disappoint either. He had 14 for 19, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also had 6 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. As always, Lamar showed he's a top tier dual threat quarterback that is hard to stop. Zay Flowers had 7 receptions for 143 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 receptions for 35 yards and one amazing one-hand catch for a touchdown. With 4 minutes left to go in the game, Ravens they were up 40-25, but the Bills have the ball. The Bills ended up scoring on that drive, and it was a pass from Josh Allen to Keon Coleman to make the game 40-32. Ravens at this point is playing conservatively as they trying to run down the clock. Lamar makes a 13-yard run. Then Henry he does something he rarely does, and that's fumble the football. Bills got the ball back on Baltimore's 40 and now with momentum. Allen makes a deep pass to Jackson Halls for a 29-yard reception. Then Allen does his own version of the tush push and score, but the defense stops the 2-point conversion. The score now is 40-38 Ravens. So the next possession for the Ravens want to try to get at least in the field goal range with the time running out on the clock and they up 2. They want if the Bills get the ball back, they want the Bills to have to score to beat them. However, the Bills defense came up big time and they stopped the Ravens and they actually go 3-and-out. Now I can kind of understand not going for it on 4th down, but it was 4th and 3, and you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on your team. I don't know if I would have not gone on it for 4th down. I think I would have taken that shot and went ahead and went for it, try to get that first down. However, the Bills get the ball back and Allen starts cooking. He goes 8-yard pass on the second down to Coleman for the first down. Then a huge down the field pass to Josh Palmer for a 32-yard reception. The next play, another big yard pass to Coleman again for a 25-yard reception. And now the Bills are in field goal range. The Bills just allowed the clock to run down with a few running plays, and a couple seconds before the clock ran out, they kick a field goal to win the game. The score at the end of the game is 41-40. Bills won. Bills takeaway, man. Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does, and he makes big plays while being efficient. He was 33 for 46, 394 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he also added in 2 rushing touchdowns. Keon Coleman, second year young star wide receiver one, was amazing too, as he was 8 receptions for 112 yards and 1 touchdown. It's worth to note that all those receptions and touchdown for Coleman came in the fourth quarter. Man had 112 yards in 1 quarter. That's crazy. Khalil Shakir, 6 receptions, 64 yards, and honestly, the whole wide receiver core. Let me just say that they just stepped up big time in this game. 5 receivers in all had more than 4 receptions and 45 plus yards. Allen connected on 10 targets at all. Allen showed why he is the reigning MVP. Every touchdown in the fourth quarter came from Allen, whether he ran it in or he made a passing play for a touchdown. Bills had 29 first down, 7 for 15 on third down, and their only fourth down try was in the fourth as they scored a touchdown on that drive. It was to pass to Coleman. Like I said, Coleman, man, he showed up in that fourth quarter, man. He had 8 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. They all came in the fourth quarter alone, so he really turned them up. The Bills capitalized on red zone as they went 5 for 7 in the red zone. Then the defense stepped up late in the fourth as they didn't allow the Ravens to score another point after they gave up that big run to Henry. Also, defensive tackle Ed Oliver, he had 6 tackles, a sack, and he was the one to force that fumble on Henry. That was a historical comeback for the Bills as they came back down, being 15 down by 15 with less than 4 minutes to go. The Bills will play the Jets in week 2 of this next week. The Ravens takeaway, man. The Ravens become the first NFL team ever to lose after scoring 40 plus points and rushing for over 235 yards. Their previous such teams were 277 wins and no losses. That is crazy. That fumble from Henry, man, that was a huge momentum shift, as it is a rare fumble from Henry, but it definitely changed the course of the game. Also, the defense, mainly the secondary, they couldn't get any key stops. Like I said, the Bills had 5 different targets with more than 45 yards. They also didn't force a single turnover and only 1 sack the whole game. Once again, this is another game for the Ravens that they blew, that they should have won. ESPN states that their win probability was 99% with under 5 minutes remaining. Wow, that's crazy. Ravens had a chance to win. Raven now has a chance to clean all that up in week 2 as their home opener against the Browns come up this week. So that was my review. I wasn't gonna review every game, every team this week 1. Uh, I started to review the Vikings and Bears game, but if the Bears would have won, I would have reviewed it. I expect the Vikings to win. JJ McCarthy, he ended up playing good in the second half after he threw up a pick in the second half. He ended up playing very good. Caleb Williams is what we thought he was. I mean, I've seen a little progress from Caleb Williams. Not gonna say I didn't see any progress from Caleb Williams. I've seen a little progress from him, but you know, the Bears, man, they always been a running team. Always been historically they've been a running team and a defensive team, and I have yet to see that from the Bears yet. Cincinnati, they beat Cleveland by 3. Jacksonville beat Carolina. Tampa Bay beat Atlanta. That was a good game actually. Tampa Bay won after Atlanta missed a field goal. last season, what was it, last 4 or 5 games of the season, Atlanta lost those games in the fourth quarter or in overtime, just like they lost this game with Tampa Bay, their division rivals. So that might come back to haunt them at the end of the season. They lost that game at the end too. San Francisco beat Seattle. Um, Tennessee lost to Denver. We know about that one. We ain't gonna speak on that, man. Houston, the Rams beat Houston, man, and I was glad that neither team scored too much because we play the Rams next week and we play Houston, I think, in a few weeks. But who knows how that will go with Tennessee, man. Arizona, they beat New Orleans. Indianapolis beat Miami, man. I just don't understand. Daniel Jones looked like he looked horrible when he was playing with the Giants. He get to Indianapolis, man, and looked like Peyton Manning. Like I don't get it. The Indianapolis put up 33 points on Miami. If I'm Tyreek Hill, I'm getting up out of Miami. I don't care how good the weather feels. I don't care how good the women look. I'm getting up out of Miami, man. I know he won his ring already, so and football world, you win one ring, you good. But I'm sure he still wants to win and play for a quarterback that can get him the ball. Cause Tua, that boy, I had high hope for Tua, but I don't think Tua got it. But Miami, they do have what's that boy name from Texas? Man, Quinn Ewers. They do have him. If I'm McDaniel, I'm putting him in. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I'm putting him in and see what he can do. Washington, they beat the Giants. Talked about Jacksonville and Carolina. I think that's it. That's all the games that happened this past week. Yeah, that's all the games that happened this past week, man. I'm gonna try to have this video up and going for y'all before week 2 starts. However, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Thank y'all to everybody that has subscribed to the channel, man. Please like, share, comment these videos, man. I'll talk football with you all day, talk sports with you all day. If I missed something, let me know from your favorite team. We can talk about it, man. But until then, man, till the next episode, this is Mario Harris, Talk Your Spit TV. Thank you.